Hello and welcome back to the latest episode of the Master of None podcast. I am your host, Stephen Murphy. I'm joined by Westy, of course. But tonight we have a very special guest on this Poxy podcast, Westy. We have John Porch, fullback for Connacht Senior team. John, thank you very much for joining us. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me, lads.
No problem. First of all, how did you even come across this podcast? You followed me back on Twitter. I thought it was a fake page. I even said to the boys, how did you stumble across us?
As you said, you followed me on Twitter there, and then I went on your page and I just saw that you had recently put out the day before a podcast about Connacht. So yeah. I gave it a listen, and you guys were talking some good stuff, and yeah.
Yeah, well, I thank you very much. I don't know if you're correct with that, talking good stuff, but we appreciate it all the same. John, obviously, we'll talk about your Connacht career so far, and how has life been the past few months? Because obviously it's not your typical life the last couple of months, even for a professional athlete. The games are still going ahead. Well, some of them are. But what's it like being like a professional rugby player in COVID times?
Yeah, look, it's strange times, but thankfully we're actually able to keep working, keep training day in, day out. So that's probably the good side of rugby, is just being able to still do that while people, my partner's still stuck at home. People are stuck at home, so it's good that we're able to get out there and do that, and then on the weekends when we can, provide a bit of entertainment for the people stuck at home that need that sort of boost in their day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
John, it's obviously been a bit kind of stop-start, I suppose, of the season so far. I think we've had about 3 games postponed because of COVID-related activities. How does that affect you during the week? I mean, is it when you find out on Thursday that your Saturday game is cancelled, are you told to go off to the pub and have a good time, or do you put training games in place, or how does that kind of news affect your week?
Yeah, it can affect your mood a little bit. You're starting to get excited around that Thursday, Friday for a game, and starting to really think about what you're going to do out there. And then you get a message in the WhatsApp group that the game's been cancelled because they've had a positive case, and it can get quite frustrating at times. But that's just the current climate that we're in at the moment, isn't it? And so boys will hit up the gym on that Saturday, just to keep the body sort of ticking over. But it's also, at the same time, it's also good to get a little bit of rest when you don't expect it.
Yeah, 100%. You just said that you're a big PlayStation player, so has your COD time has definitely upped, I'd say, with these games being cancelled.
Yeah, it definitely has. Much to the hatred of my missus. She'd rather me spending some time with her.
Do you and the other guys play together online? Is there kind of fierce Call of Duty competition between the squad?
Yeah, there's a good bunch of us that get on and play Warzone a lot. So there's a bit of a rivalry in there, definitely.
Who's sneakily the best COD player?
I'd have to say Connor Oliver is quite handy. Oh. Yes.
So if a zombie apocalypse comes to Galway, we know we're safe with Connor Oliver. Just chat about Connacht. Did you know much about Connacht before you signed here, John? Like even Galway in general, what was your first thoughts when you arrived?
Yeah, look, I didn't know much at all. The only time I'd heard of Galway was Ed Sheeran's song. And then in terms of Connacht, obviously Friendly had been here for a year before I signed, so that I knew and watched in that year leading up to myself coming, but beforehand, before Friendly signed over here, I hadn't heard of Connacht. I'd heard of the Munsters and the Leinsters, being top European teams, but I hadn't heard of Connacht before. But since being here, it's a lovely little town and a good vibe about it.
And have you travelled much since you came to Ireland? Have you been around, the tourist attractions, as they say?
I've been quite busy with rugby since I've been here. We've been down to Dingle for a weekend off. But the summer holidays, this was meant to be the time where myself and my partner got away to Europe and a bit of Ireland. But unfortunately, that sort of got held back with COVID, so that's on hold for another year.
It's obviously quite different here than maybe you're used to. How did Friendly trick you into leaving the sunny sunshine of Australia to New South Wales to come to wet and rainy Galway?
Yeah, it definitely is a lot different, but I get that question all the time, and I don't like training in the heat that much. It's so much harder to get yourself up for a session when it's 35 degrees outside compared to when it's 12 degrees outside, a bit of wind and rain. but no, I love it here. The weather's just part of it. You learn to embrace it, and it just becomes another thing that you have to deal with.
Did he lie to you though and say like, "Oh no, it's lovely over here, man. The sun's always shining," and then as soon as you get off the plane, just the wind hits you straight off the bat?
Yeah, well, I actually remember quite clearly. I landed in Dublin when we moved over, and it was sunny and nice, and my partner and I were like, "This is lovely." And then we were about Athlone, and the rain hit, and then Kerry.
That's usually where it starts.
Yeah, Kerry Andy's wife was bringing us in, and she's like, "Yep, this is Galway weather for you. Get used to it."
Did you say turn around the car? Let's get back on the plane, or are you okay?
We were close, yeah.
You obviously played under Friendly with the Australia Sevens. Like, did you have kind of much of an existing relationship with him, or an ongoing relationship with him even since that finished up?
Yeah, had a very good relationship with Friendly from my time at Sevens, and then once he left, we kept in close contact every now and then. Just before I actually signed coming over here, I was going through a bit of a rough time, sort of not enjoying my rugby. So I was in contact with him a lot of just how to deal with certain situations I was in and that. So I'd say we were sort of always close while he was over here and I was back in Oz.
You're just back from kind of a pretty scary injury, weren't you? Maybe a year before moving out here?
Yeah, about a year and a half. In late 2017, I broke my leg in Fiji.
Oh, obviously has a good relationship with Andy. Then was it tough then to switch codes from the 7s to the 15s? Was that something that you were already contemplating, or did Andy kind of convince you to switch?
Yeah, I'd always sort of contemplated switching to 15s. I'd achieved most of what I could in the 7s, going to the Olympics, the Commonwealth Games, and then the Rugby World Cup 7s. So it was definitely close in the back of my mind that that's something I wanted to do. And I thought the transition over was quite seamless. I think it's a lot easier to go from 7s to 15s than it is the other way around. We had a few of the Wallabies come in pre-Olympics to try and make it, and they struggled a lot with the type of training we do in 7s and how hard and fast it sort of is compared to 15s.
Was there anything particularly kind of noteworthy about switching over, particularly difficult that you found?
It's probably the biggest switch was when I actually got here and the different style of rugby I'd say we play. It's more of a kicking-based game, positional game over here in the Northern Hemisphere, where in Australia it's more of an attacking style. So when I first got here, adapting to that, working on my kicking, that sort of stuff, it wouldn't have been a big focus back home. So I'd probably say that, yeah.
And when it comes to game day, then John, obviously, I know that the last few games have been called off, but do you have any game day rituals, some superstitions or anything like that you like to go through before a game, or are you fairly laid back?
Yeah, I'm very laid back. Not much really goes on. It doesn't matter what I'm eating the morning before or that sort of stuff. The only sort of one I do have is about 3 minutes before we run out onto the field, I'll kiss the crest of the jersey that I'm playing with, and then just thank everyone that I'm here and say that I'm sort of doing this for family and just to enjoy myself while I'm out there.
Westy actually kisses the crest before he watches you as well. So
yeah, I have multiple crests around the room that I guess there's also a flag up here.
Just in case you're wondering who Westy supported, it is Connacht. But among the squad then, or among the team, is there any sort of weird superstitions, or is everyone sort of like chilled about that?
The only one I have noticed is Kieran Marmion. He can't put his socks on if they touch his toes. He has to get them cleanly over his toes before he can pull his socks all the way up.
No way. And has he ever gone through 3 pairs of socks before getting them right?
No, you sit there and you watch him, and if it touches his toes, he has to pull it back off and try again. And I've sat there for a good 35 seconds, 40 seconds sometimes, watching him try and get one sock on.
Do you guys bet about like if he gets it the first 10 seconds, Porch wins. If it's the second 10 seconds.
Yeah, definitely.
That's incredible. The next 2 months, John, for Connacht obviously have some incredible games lined up. Obviously the 4 games home and away to Racing, 92 and Bristol. what's the mood in camp ahead of, like, when you find out that you're playing those two massive teams in Europe? Is it excitement? Is it trepidation? What's the kind of feeling around the camp?
Yeah, look, we haven't really talked about it too much yet, but the excitement is there. You know, you're versing a team that was in the Heineken Cup final this year, and only just gotten beaten by Exeter, and then you've got Bristol, who won the Challenge Cup. So sort of two of the top teams in Europe right now, I guess you could say, and it doesn't get any better than that. If you want to sort of beat the best and compare yourself to the best, you got to play the best. So it's exciting times ahead, and you know, can't sort of wait for those two games that we've got in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, Wes, just before you go, I just thought, obviously, a player like you who is, you know, great pace, are you excited when you think about playing in Racing's incredible indoor stadium? Just like, you know, that should suit you right down to the ground.
Yeah, definitely. It reminds me a bit of Vancouver's stadium that we play into the Sevens, except a little bit more of a nightclub feel about it. I saw a few videos there when they have a crowd and they have all the lights and that going. It looks incredible. So it'll be an enjoyment to get out there and see what it's all about. Definitely.
John, it's been quite a kind of changeover in personnel this year. How do you think the kind of new signings have fitted into the squad, and who should we kind of be keeping a closer eye on?
Yeah, it definitely has been a big change of players. But the lads that have come in are really sort of stepping up. You know, you got Woodson and Sammy Arnold and Colin Oliver all putting their hands up as sort of key players that are in the matchday 23 week in, week out. And, you know, a big surprise to me being a back three and just watching how he plays has been Alex Wooten. He's someone you want on your side. He's attacking flair. He's always sort of making something out of nothing. It's an enjoyment just to watch him do what he has been doing.
I would say you kind of played majority of your rugby at 11 the previous season, and you kind of 15 this year. And we were just saying, honestly, probably the informed fullback in the country at the moment. Was that move to 15 kind of your decision, or was it out of necessity, or how did that kind of come about?
Yeah, it was a decision of mine. You know, when I first came over here, when I was in Oz, I was a 15. But coming over here, you know, working on that kicking game, as I said earlier, sort of kept me out of that 15 a lot. So, and I was happy just getting my time in the team regularly on the wing last season. So for me, it wasn't much of a priority last year. But then as COVID sort of hit and I had more time to sit down and think about what I wanted to do moving forward, I said to Friendy that, you know, next season or when we get back to games, I really want to push for that 15 jersey. And he said, go for it, and I'll pick whoever the best 15 is that's playing at the time. So for me, I worked away at that kicking and in the off season, and sort of it's come out well for me, and, you know, settling in at 15 really well and really enjoying my time there.
Just kind of finally on that topic, another kind of back three player where we expect is your old buddy Ben O'Donnell. The newest bod in the country.
John was teasing fans on Instagram yesterday by putting up this clip of Ben O'Donnell playing amazing rugby, and then everyone's like, "When's he back? When is he back?"
How is he fitting in? When can we expect to see him, and what can we expect?
Yeah, he's he's starting to transition into a bit of contact now, just one-on-one contact by himself with the physios and the S&C. So I'd imagine in a couple of weeks he's back, sort of transitioning into training with us, and then maybe late December, early Jan, you might see maybe some game time. I'm not sure yet, but look, I'm very excited for when he's back fully fit, because you know, with my time with him at the Sevens, I know he can do some incredible things. So it'll be very exciting to see him back fully fit.
Yeah, definitely, it's exciting. We finished up on the Connacht section, John. We want to throw some nicknames at you because you know, among us, Sam, who also comes on the rugby podcast with us. He can't make it today, but he has come up with the nickname for you, the Human Porch, and we wanted to throw it past you to see, A, have you heard of it before, and B, what do you think of it?
No, I haven't heard of it before, but Brilliant. Yeah, definitely like it.
I also think of the Olympic porch because of your Olympic background. That could work. Yeah. For the sports ground, we come up with two. So obviously we could call it the friend zone, which, you know, nobody wants to be in the friend zone. So opposing teams coming, that's going to be tough. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, like it.
And then finally, you could get, like, you know, all aboard the friendship for any friendship. like, mention it to the boys in the dressing room, see what they think, come back to us, okay? We'll put it on the burner for now. We'll move on to your Australia kind of background there. Westy, do you want to go?
Yeah, John, first and foremost, how was it to represent your country at sevens level on the Sevens circuit in the Olympics?
It was incredible. I sort of, as a young rugby player, I think sevens is such an incredible sport and a great way to get out there and see the world while doing what you do and what you love. Traveling to 10 different countries over sort of a 5.5, 6 month span is amazing, and it brings a lot of mateship and friendship because you spend so much time together in it, and it's really exciting, really fun.
What got you into sevens in the first place, John? Because obviously, growing up in Australia, you have your pick of the bunch when it comes to rugby. League, union, sevens. What was it about sevens that either stood out to you, or is it just that it's best suited your game?
Yeah, there's a lot of sports to sort of play in Australia. You're dead right there, and I've always been a rugby man growing up. My mum started me in rugby from the age of 5, and then in school, and it wasn't until I was in year 11 or 12, my last 2 years of high school, that sevens in Australian schools sort of became a thing. And we were in a school tournament there and went away and played a few other schools, and I just absolutely loved it. The space and time you had with ball in hand, and from there it really lit a fire in me that this is something I'd love to do.
And when it comes to, say, the training differences between 15s and 7s, obviously you touched a bit on it earlier, but it's something that the general fan wouldn't think about, that the pros see the differences between training for 7s and 15s, whether it be on the pitch or in the gym. Say for the gym, is it more explosive work rather than actually putting up big weight?
Definitely, yeah, you're dead right there. So it's more about explosive sort of strength, where if you're training for 15s, it's more that overall strength that you're going for. And then out on the field, it's more sort of shuttle stuff, repeated efforts, back-to-back efforts at what you sort of, a maximum effort that you can put out.
And how was the Olympics? How was Rio? What was it like being in that kind of Olympic camp with all those other athletes?
Yeah, Olympics was absolutely amazing. We got to do the opening ceremony, and that was something that I'll never forget. Unfortunately, the girls' team didn't get to do it because they played the next day, so they decided not to do it. But just to be able to walk out there with all the other nations and all the other Australian athletes was so overwhelming, and so sort of humbling to be able to do that. The village itself is incredible. It's all these high rises within a clustered sort of area, and then you have a big food hall where all the athletes eat in, and you're walking past the likes of Usain Bolt in there, who he's just getting mobbed by like athletes as well, and it's just insane.
That's pretty cool to see Usain Bolt having breakfast.
Eating chicken nuggets at the next table.
Oh yeah. Was he eating chicken nuggets, or is he full of shit? I think he's full of shit.
I don't know what he was eating, but the stuff they feed you in there sometimes it's not up to what you should be eating as an athlete.
And you're a pretty pacey guy, John. Were you tempted to be like, out the back, me and you, 100-meter dash?
No, I reckon I'd need a 60-meter start and he'd still beat me.
That's scary for the rest of us. Obviously, unfortunately, the Olympics didn't go to the plan, losing in the quarterfinal in South Africa. At that stage, what are you, 22, 21 at that stage?
Yeah, I was 22 at that stage, yeah.
22. How tough is that? Obviously, you're still very young, and it's tough to comprehend, fully at that age probably. How tough was that going out in the quarterfinals to South Africa?
Yeah, it was tough, especially after we'd beaten them in our last pool game, and we knew that we could beat them, to then put out that sort of performance against them, and to go down and then end up finishing. I think we finished 8th. It was absolutely gut wrenching because as an elite athlete, you want to win everything, and when you don't, it hurts the most. So I actually said to myself that I'd when that happened, I want to go back and I want to do better, but certain things fell how they fell once Andy left, and I lost that passion to go back. But it was hard, but it was a good learning curve as well. Losing against a team like South Africa, coming 8th at the Olympics, and sort of building off that.
you said you kind of fell out of love with it. Have you considered going back for any, like for, let's say, Tokyo this summer as it would have been, or have you thought about going back to sevens and trying again?
No, definitely not. I think my sevens is sort of done now. I'm absolutely loving 15s, loving my time here at Connacht. Hopefully can stay on after this year and keep going here, because it's an amazing little town with a good vibe about it. And my partner and I are absolutely loving it over here. So I think for now, sevens is sort of, is done and dusted.
Yeah, safe to say you prefer 15s then, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the answer. Westy was like, please say that.
Yeah.
Please.
I'll throw money into this contract. Don't worry. I'll do what I
can. Before we leave the Australia topic, John, it's a strange time for rugby in Australia when it comes to union. Obviously, the battle between union and league. League seems to be winning at the moment in Australia, and the rugby union international team has had some weird results lately. Obviously, beating the All Blacks, which is amazing. And then, 2 weeks before, they got, pretty well beaten. What's your kind of view on rugby at the moment, the state of rugby in Australia?
It's very interesting, the state of rugby in Australia at the moment. There's a lot of work to be done from the grassroots sort of up that hasn't been done for the last five to 10 years, which has hindered us really badly, I think. And unfortunately, until they realise that, you look after the little ones first, and that's what brings you the bunch of the crop at the top there that starts performing for you, it's not going to change anytime soon, I don't think, unfortunately. So there's room to grow there, which is the good thing. It's just whether they can do that.
And is there anything that you see that's glaringly, apart from, when you touched on that, the grassroots, is there anything that you know of it that you're like, that needs to change? Or if you were in charge, what would you change, the first thing you change?
No, there's not, I couldn't say what I would change, because but I just think they need to put some more time into the young kids coming through, get them interested in rugby again, get some programs in schools, because I know AFL and NRL, every school in Australia nearly has a program that's run by the NRL or run by the AFL that's enticing these kids to come and play, and why it's the better sport. And we need to start doing that if we want to start being able to compete with the likes of them.
Will you be up early on Saturday morning to watch the Argentina match?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Undecided yet.
Yeah. Do you watch the international team much in your spare time? Obviously, your spare time isn't, you don't have too much of it. So when you do, do you like to watch rugby? Must have a lot if he's talking to us. Yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't watch too much of it. No, I wouldn't say I'm into watching the Wallabies too much at the moment. It doesn't really interest me. Yeah.
Yep, that's fair enough. Okay, enough of the important, serious questions. We've got some really hard hitters for you, John. Now, we said we weren't going to catch you. We lied. Okay, we're out to get you. So the first hard hitting question is, what's your favorite non-rugby pastime? So what sport do you like to play that isn't obviously rugby? Because I know a lot of the Connacht boys love a bit of golf. Do you play a bit of golf?
Yeah, definitely. I'm booked in to play this Saturday after Benetton. Definitely do love a bit of golf. I used to live next to a golf course when I was young, so you just had to jump the fence and I was on there. But I think I'm a worse player than I was then. So, but love getting out there with the boys and sort of just having a laugh. It's a relaxing sort of sport. At sometimes it can get very, very stressful.
Yeah, me and Sam play regularly, so if you're ever looking for someone to go out with, we're free. We'll have to obviously clear our schedule, but we are free. We play in Craigmore, so if you're ever about, let us know. But yeah, I think you're totally right. It's a very relaxing sport when you're playing well.
Exactly.
When you're not playing well, it's one of the most frustrating sports I've ever come across. But who's of all the lads you play with, who's pretty decent at the old golf?
Mostly I've played with Paul Boyle, Connor Fitzgerald. Those two can hit the ball quite well. Ben O'Donnell, he played with him a few times now since he's been over. He hits well as well. So there's a few lads out there that actually strike them quite well, and then there's a few like Gav Thornbury, myself, Tom Farrell, who we're the sideline players, and we're just picking them out of the rough every now and then.
That's definitely me if I ever play with Steve. He's kind of waiting around for me as I slice him off left and right in every direction. Was there anybody, like either rugby player or not, who you kind of idolised growing up or even still do at the moment?
Yes, I don't idolise them anymore, and I don't know why I did. But growing up, I idolised Quade Cooper and James O'Connor. But now that I've grown up a bit, I don't know why I did that. They've matured. They've matured a lot since they've had their time in Australia and moved away and done other things and came back. But also early 2000s when the Aussies were in the golden era, idolised Matt Burke as a 15. I thought he was an exceptional player. I used to get the kicking tee out. I actually had a DVD on him teaching me how to kick, and I'd go out there on the goalpost and practice out the way he taught himself to kick.
I was worried you'd say Michael Lina there for a second. We still haven't gotten over that in Ireland.
Yeah, too soon. Who's your best, like the lad you get on with the best at Connacht at the moment? Obviously Ben O'Donnell coming over, but of all the Irish boys, maybe who's the best teammate you have at Connacht?
Yeah, I'd say since I've gotten here, I've formed quite a good friendship with Connor Fitzgerald and Tom Daly. They're two of the lads I probably hang out with the most. They're good blokes, yeah.
And the follow-up is even more important. Who's the best crack on a night out?
Best crack on a night out. Well, we haven't had a night out yet with the new lads that have come in since COVID. So if I'm going back off last season, I'd have to say the player that left, Rory Burke. He was a good lad out on the drink. Yeah.
We'll not ask for any stories because we don't want to get you fired.
John, obviously apart from the sports ground, what is kind of the best stadium that you've had the joy of playing in?
Yeah, I've definitely put the sports ground at number one.
Good answer.
A fair way behind that would probably be the Hong Kong Sevens tournament. The South Stand there is absolutely wild. That's sort of where all the parties are situated, and it's on one of the ends of the try line. So if you score on a try at that end, it's one of the feeling you never get to feel again.
I was there myself a good few years ago when the Lions played the Barbarians. I wasn't looking up there for the Sevens, but it's a fantastic ground to be in.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Nice flex there, Westy. That was nice drop. The next one again, a big hidden question, John. What's your favorite takeaway in Galway or chipper, and what's your go-to order? So what's like you're starving after a game, you've had a good game, you want to treat yourself. What's your go-to?
Everyone raves on Hanson Burger here, but I reckon the best burgers in town is Bowtown.
Oh, controversial. No, this is the two giants of burgers in Galway. Oh man.
Yeah. I absolutely love Bowtown burgers. There was a point there during lockdown where I think I got it about 3 or 4 times in 1 week, and it was absolutely. After it, I was like, "What am I doing?"
You regret nothing, John. You regret absolutely nothing about it. And what's your go-to burger?
I get the guacamole from there with the Bovril fries. So the fries with cheese, bacon, and gravy.
God, Westy, we're going to go after this.
We're trying to go later on.
John, we'll meet you there. We'll go for one.
Yeah, that sounds good.
One last thing for me, kind of on a lighter note. Our buddy Sam is usually on the podcast with us, is expecting his first child in May. And I mean, I'm pretty pretty tight with him and his wife. I can get you the godfather job if you want it. Would you be open to it?
Yeah, definitely.
He will. You're joking that you're saying yes. He will totally accept you. I don't know about the missus. She probably won't be overly joyed about it, but he is in. The son's going to be called probably Bundy or some sort of Aki in the name as well. That's how big of a fan Sam is.
Porch Aki Ardale at the minute.
Yeah, yeah.
We're going with. I've been on this.
Exactly. Yeah, John. Look, that has been great. Look, that's all we want to get from you at this moment in time. We really do appreciate you coming on this small little podcast in Galway. So, we wish you nothing but the best over the next couple of months with Connacht. We might see you out on the golf course or in Bowtown sometime soon. If we do, we'll definitely say hello. But once again, John, we do appreciate you, and we'll see you again soon.
Lovely. Thanks so much for having me, lads.
Cheers, boys.